A New Hope, Nier Chapter 87. Please subscribe to this YouTube channel for listening and patreon.com/Azazyel to read all of Azazyel's stories. After a bit more conversation between Weiss and Winter, the older sister looked towards me as I had been silently sitting in the background, having only said a courtesy hello and trying not to intrude in Weiss and Winter's time, as I knew all too well that they didn't have much time for one another. "So, Jake, was it? It's nice to meet you, even if I wish our meeting was physically face-to-face. But I hope to see that you are a man who is going to honor Weiss and not be one of those civilian men who just spend their time sleeping through clubs of women and not contributing to society," Winter said pointedly, and my mind flashed to Melania and Malanie, who I slept with and never spoke to again after the sisters helped unlock my aura and such. "Don't worry, I have my own goals, and becoming a huntsman to protect humanity is a good step in that direction," I spoke, and Winter nodded in agreement, and if anything, respect, as she knew the statistics of men in huntsman academies. Me and Ren, out of our class of like 90 total freshmen, were two of the only 20 men in the entire grade. The rest were ladies, so even if men wanted to be huntsmen and leave their easy lives being a himbo, the simple statistics of only one male being born out of 5 females kept the grades very divided. "So, Jake, can you tell me about yourself? What are your interests and hobbies, and what got you and my dear little sister together?" she teased at the ending, making Weiss groan at her older sibling, putting her on the spot as it were. "Well, let's see. My interests include exploring with my semblance-granted flight, allowing me easily to traverse vast distances. Besides that, I enjoy reading in my spare time, either non-fiction or a good fantasy story every once in a while." I then smiled softly as I wrapped my arm around Weiss's side so Winter could see it. "But as for when we began dating, well, Weiss is my perfect partner and second in command, was deeply worried when I went on a slight exclusion for a day and lost scroll connection so she couldn't reach me." Weiss then buried her face into her hands as she recalled the mortifying time when I came back with 9S and played the joke about how I had been sleeping with her clone. When she freaked out, she even took our team and our sister team out into Vale in search of me. I really appreciated the effort you and the team put into looking for me. I showed how much you cared, Weiss, and I cannot thank you enough for that care. I spoke softly to her as I looked at her beside me, and as Weiss bit her lip as her emotion grew within her, I looked back to Winter before I had to dip down and kiss Weiss with how she bit her lips. But when I got back to Beacon, Weiss all but tackled me in our room, and she was so sleep-deprived as she was so worried about me that she dragged me into my bed to snuggle with her as she slept. And thus, I became a taken man, as it were, I said before giving Weiss's forehead a quick kiss, making her squirm in embarrassment as Winter cooed in genuine enjoyment, but I saw a bit of, I guess, loneliness in her eyes. Which frankly made sense, as she had no real connection with her family other than Weiss, and few friends, with how she clawed her way up to being the adjutant to General Ironwood, and now that her military career was going to be sidelined for at least half a decade, she was for sure feeling lost. "Hey, Winter, with the Vital Festival coming, why not come to Vale to see Weiss in the name of checking the gravity dust being used to hold up the stadium and such?" I asked, and Winter's eyes brightened as she hummed in thought and then nodded in assent. "Yes, that could be a good excuse. Ahem, I meant to say that showing the new face of the Schnee Dust Company at the largest international event of the year would be a good way to show investors that the company is still strong," Winter said shamelessly as Weiss giggled in the background, but unfortunately, a loud beeping came through on Winter's end and she frowned, looking down at her own scroll, and sighed. "Forgive me, Weiss, but Mother has decided that throwing a party in honor of Father's passing was a great idea, so I need to go shut it down before people assume that Mother had Father killed." Winter groaned. "All right, sister, I hope to see you during the Vital Festival, and I love you," Weiss said with forced cheer as she wanted to send off her sister with a smile, which Winter obviously appreciated, as our call got cut off. The moment the call cut off and our sight of Winter was cut, Weiss just stared at the wall where the hologram was before she slowly turned to me and pushed her head into my chest as she began shaking in place. Because today she lost 2 things. She lost her father, which wasn't too much of a loss as she hadn't truly loved him for a number of years, but the loss of her status as the heiress that she worked so hard to keep as she came to Vale to study at Beacon hit her the hardest, as she was well aware that once Winter got well situated into her place as CEO, it wouldn't be a simple thing for Weiss to just conveniently take over the company. Not to mention how Ironwood would obviously love to keep Winter as the CEO, with how she had so faithfully served Atlas's military. It was obvious that Winter would give the military highly favorable prices when it came to dust. "Come on, Weiss. Let's get going to our dorm so we can have some privacy," I whispered into Weiss's hair as I saw the camera hanging above our heads. Weiss just wordlessly nodded, taking my hand as she put on a sculpted bland look as we left the room and headed back towards Beacon's dorm areas so I could comfort Weiss at her loss.